Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. There are worlds in the galaxy that are not merely cold, they are hostile to the very concept of motion. Cocytus is one such world. It is a moon of a dead gas giant, sitting so far from any star that the atmosphere is almost liquid. The temperature on the surface hovers just a few degrees above absolute zero. In this kind of cold, the laws of modern warfare break down. Plasma bolts dissipate into harmless sparks. Battery cells drain in minutes. Lubricants freeze into glass, and the high-tech alloys of most starships become as brittle as porcelain. To most, Cocytus is a place where technology goes to die. But for a certain group of fugitives, that is exactly why they chose it. Silas Vane is on the hunt for the Iron Sleet. They are a gang of high-end cybernetic criminals who have replaced nearly 80% of their biological bodies with cold-resistant machinery. They are built for the frost, powered by internal thermal generators that allow them to function where a human should be a frozen statue. They have been raiding mining outposts across the sector, stealing rare isotopes and retreating back to their ice fortress on Cocytus, knowing that the hegemony police cannot follow them into the deep freeze. Vane is not a machine. He is a man of flesh and blood, but he has something the Iron Sleet forgot: the ancient human mastery of the environment. Vane landed the Vesper on a high plateau, miles away from the target's base. He knew that if he flew any closer, his engines would freeze solid. He stepped out onto the ice wearing a multi-layered thermal suit designed with ancient principles. It didn't rely on active heaters that would glow like a beacon on a thermal scan. Instead, it used aerogel insulation and a recycled heat exchange system that trapped his own body heat and fed it back into his core. He was a closed loop. He was invisible. In his hands, Vane did not carry a pulse rifle. In this cold, a rifle was a club. Instead, he carried a heavy vibroblade made of high-density ceramic and a pouch of pressure-sensitive mines. He was going back to the old ways. He was going to be a ghost in the snow. The trail was easy to find for a hunter like Vane. He didn't look for footprints. The wind on Cocytus would erase them in seconds. He looked for the chemical signature of leaking hydraulic fluid. The Iron Sleet were machines, and machines always leak. He found a spray of neon blue fluid against a wall of ice. It was frozen, but his visor could still detect the faint chemical trail. He tracked them for 6 hours, moving through a landscape of jagged ice spires that looked like frozen lightning. His breath came in heavy, steaming clouds that instantly turned into ice crystals, coating his tattered hood in a layer of white frost. He found the entrance to their lair, a deep cavern carved into the side of a glacier. 2 cyborg sentries stood at the entrance. They were massive, their metal limbs covered in rime, their glowing red optic sensors scanning the whiteout. They were confident. They believed nothing could survive the trek across the flats. Vane didn't rush them. He moved to the ridge above the entrance and waited. He watched the rhythm of their sensors. Every 10 seconds, there was a gap as the sensors recalibrated for the wind. Vane dropped from the ridge. He didn't fall. He glided, his tattered cloak acting as a primitive parachute in the thick, cold air. He landed behind the first sentry and drove his vibroblade into the junction of the cyborg's neck and shoulder. The ceramic blade, vibrating at a frequency that shattered frozen metal, cut through the armor like a hot knife through wax. The cyborg didn't even have time to send a distress signal before its internal power core was severed. The second sentry turned, but Vane was already inside its guard. He didn't use the blade. He slapped a magnetic disruptor onto the cyborg's chest. The device let out a high-frequency pulse that scrambled the target's motor functions. The cyborg collapsed, its metal limbs twitching as its brain core lost connection. Vane stepped into the cavern. It was warmer here, but only slightly. The walls were lined with stolen cargo and the remains of broken mining drones. In the center of the hall stood the leader of the Iron Sleet, a monster of chrome and wire named Jax. Jax looked at the hooded figure in the black mask. A human? He rasped, his voice a mechanical grind. You walked through the flats? Your heart should have exploded 10 miles ago. I am a persistence hunter, Jax, Vane said, his voice echoing in the ice chamber. We were hunting things in the snow while your ancestors were still learning how to make fire. You think because you replaced your skin with steel, you are the predator. But steel breaks in the cold. Flesh endures. Jax roared and lunged, his heavy metal fists swinging with enough force to shatter stone. Vane was a blur of motion. He didn't try to block the blows. He used the cyborg's own momentum against him. In the sub-zero air, Jax's metal joints were slightly slower, the hydraulic fluid thicker than usual. Vane was agile, his light suit allowing him to move with a grace that the heavy cyborg could not match. Vane sliced through the hydraulic lines in Jax's legs. Blue fluid sprayed across the ice, freezing instantly. The cyborg leader fell to his knees, his power levels dropping as his heating systems failed. Vane stood over him, the blue visor of his obsidian mask reflecting the dying glow of the cyborg's eyes. He saw the serial numbers on Jax's chest. He realized then that these weren't just criminals. They were former laborers, discarded by a mining corporation after an accident and left to rot on a colony world. They had turned themselves into monsters because the galaxy had treated them like scrap metal. The code remained. Vane did not kill him. He applied a containment field to Jax's remaining systems, keeping the cyborg's brain core alive but dormant. He would take them back. Not to the corporation that abandoned them, but to a neutral justice world where their story could be told. Vane dragged the captured leader out of the cave and back into the whiteout. The walk back to the Vesper would be even harder, but Silas Vane did not mind the cold. It was the only place where things were clear. The ice did not lie. In the Legends of the Rim, they say that Silas Vane is a man who can track a shadow through a blizzard. They say he is as cold as the ice he walks on. But Vane is not cold. He is just focused. He is the one who goes where the machines fail, and he is the one who brings the truth back from the frost. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. Technology is a tool, but the hunter is the master. If you would brave the absolute zero to catch your target, hit that like button. Comment below. Which is more dangerous, a man with a gun or a man with a plan and a blade? Subscribe for the next hunt, the memory thief. The Vesper is back in the dark. The hunt continues.